Greetings, listeners in listener land. Welcome to St. Louis in Tune with Arnold Stricker and Mark Langston, where we size up current and historic events involving people, places, and things in areas such as the arts, crime, education, employment, faith, finance, food, health, history, housing, humor, justice, government, and sports. I think I need to add a little bit more on that one.
Probably do.
We originate from and connect the Gateway City to what's going on regionally, nationally, and internationally. Mark, how are you today, sir?
I'm okay. And you know, in that intro, I think you should say, Arnold can leap buildings in a single bound.
Tall buildings in a single look up in the sky.
And faster than a speeding bullet.
It sounds like, although I would never...
More powerful than a locomotive. It's all coming back to me now.
I would never equate myself with Superman. Never.
Well, thanks for asking. I'm doing well. I am doing well.
It is a, I think the weather rolls dice. Okay. And what are we going to do today? Okay. We'll be cold. Okay. We'll be hot. Okay. We'll be rainy. It will snow today. So that's where we are, folks, in St. Louis right now. We had 72 degrees a couple of weeks ago, and now we're going to be like 15 tonight or tomorrow night, something like that. Typical. It is winter, though, so I think we have to think about that.
And there's no global warming.
I
just thought I'd throw that in.
A little climate change.
Yeah.
Maybe a little climate change.
Climate change, rather. Yes. Climate change. Better way to say it.
So here is a thought for the day that to think about. Winning doesn't always mean being first.
What?
I know our sports teams love to win, and this is a thing that goes along with youth sports.
Uh-huh.
And I see this, dramatically taking place where it's winning at all costs. Uh-huh. And I watch these basketball youngsters playing. They might be like 8 or 9 years old, and they're trying to be just like the pros with an attitude and everything like that. And it's like, just learn the basics of the game and learn how to be a really good sport, because good sports know how to lose.
Yeah.
They know how to win, but they really know how to lose.
Yeah.
And so losing's actually a good thing, because it should make you self-reflect.
Oh, yeah.
How should I go back and do this better so that I can achieve more, so that I can improve my performance? And you're always going to come up against somebody that's better than you are.
Yeah.
There always is somebody out there, but it should make you rise to that occasion.
Right.
And I remember when I used to teach band and would go to competitions, and it's like, if you try to think that you want to win all the time and you're satisfied with your performance, what do you get? You should always try to be, this is the best performance I could do on this particular day, and let the chips fall where they may.
Right.
That should be the way it goes.
Right. And hence, it's not if you win or lose, it's how you play the game. Be good sportsmanship.
It is.
I hate to use all these little cliches.
Cliches, but they are.
They are. It makes total sense.
Man. Well, it makes sense with our guest today, too, because he is in a play that I find very fascinating. The name of the play is Every Brilliant Thing, which, if you just think about the name of that, it evokes some kind of thought process of this is interesting. I wonder what this is about. But there's some little twists and turns to this. And Will Bonfiglio is our guest this morning. Will, how are you today, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
The New Jewish Theater is going to be presenting this play. It started yesterday, March the 16th, and will run through April 2nd. How did it go yesterday?
It went well. I think we had a really lovely audience, and it was nice just finally getting a chance to, share it with a group of folks that weren't just in rehearsal, with me the whole time. So it was nice to have some fresh eyes on it.
And this play is a little different in that you're the only performer on that. I would put that in quotation marks. Mm-hmm. Am I correct with that?
What?
Yeah, yes, that's correct. While it is like a one-man show, the audience has a bit of a role as well. They have a variety of different kind of parts to play throughout the show. There are a few roles that the audience might have to help me with by, me giving them some lines, things like that to play certain parts. But a lot of people in the audience will receive like a note card that has something on them to say during the show that corresponds to the list of brilliant things that I referenced throughout the piece.
How fun.
So yeah, so you just don't go like in the middle of it, like I'm picking you out in, row W and seat number 3. They actually have something ahead of time.
Yeah, everyone pretty much does. There are a few parts that are a little more on the spot, but those are I try to vet those, early on, so I get a sense of who might be willing to play and who doesn't. I try to, nothing should be coercive. Everyone should be able to consent into doing it or not. So I try to suss that out from the beginning.
Now it sounds like because of something like that this would be like a humorous kind of funny thing, and I'm sure there are moments like that, but the whole play itself is very serious and has a serious tone to it. Would you kind of describe a little bit about, what this is about?
Sure. Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. It's an interesting balance, I think, of humor and kind of reflection and sadness, because the play really is about this boy who, when he was 7, his mom attempted suicide, and so his way to try to connect with her and help her was to create a list of everything brilliant about the world. And so he has this list of brilliant things that he develops, and then this list he keeps adding to throughout his life and throughout her subsequent attempts. And it's this really piece about gratitude and about what we find worth living for, really. And so while the list and the play is surrounded by this idea of suicide and depression, which are ideas that have affected all of us, it has this real kind of life affirming piece to it, and this idea of gratitude and a lot of funny, very joyful moments as well. And so I think it's hard to find that balance, but I think this play does a really nice job of that.
And the storytelling kind of element of this, with this interaction of the audience as quote unquote performers, how does that flow back and forth so you keep the storyline element moving constantly?
Yeah, it's really well scripted in, like, there are only a few parts that, like, the audience actually, have to kind of play. Like,
Okay.
certain folks in the audience will have to play, and I feed them lines. I tell them where to go, so things like that. So it allows for a pretty, there are definitely some variables depending on who it is each night, but there's a way to keep the story moving by way of the lines I'm feeding them and things, so that everyone gets, the same pieces of the story. It just may be presented a little bit differently each time, depending on who from the audience is in those parts that night.
Now you're an accomplished St. Louis actor. You've received 3 St. Louis Theater Circle Awards, and you're the director of CocoBiz.
Wow.
And you've kind of worked with Ellie, who's directing this previously. What challenges did this particular play give you in preparing for it, and then even last night when the first performance came through?
Yeah, that's a great question. Ellie and I, we've worked together before, so we have kind of a shorthand. We love working with each other, and I think that's helpful. For this one, there were a lot of unknowns for us until last night. We tried rehearsing a lot of these ideas of, like, well, what if the audience does this, or what if they say no, or what happens, if this person doesn't, say the lines the way we need to. So we tried rehearsing for a lot of those variables, but I mean, until you have a sizable audience, it's nearly impossible. And so, last night was just like every other night in the last few weeks of rehearsal. I think, we learned more, and I think as the show continues, we'll be able to keep just continuing to breathe life into it and live into it fully. But I think, the rehearsal process was great, and we were able to experiment and try things, and try workshopping what some of those what ifs might be.
Now, this may not be a fair question because, there's only one night under your belt, but I always wonder how performing a certain play impacts you as an individual, the role that you play. And this is, because of the content of this and what it's about. How has this impacted you personally?
Yeah. I think I do think it's really, as I said, this is a topic that a lot of us have dealt with, whether in our families, with a friend, a colleague. I think it's a very universal topic, and it's one that we often don't think about or discuss. And I think the way that this play does it, and making us turn to gratitude and turn to these brilliant things, it is quite brilliant in its own way. For me, I think it's made me think more about that and what I've been grateful for. And as the theater, right, being able to do it in the theater, performing in the theater again after years, right? I mean, we just hit kind of the 3 years anniversary of when COVID kind of was at the onset, and to be back in a space with an audience performing and telling stories is something I'm quite grateful for. And so the last show I did right before COVID was a one-man show with Ellie at New Jewish Theater in December of 2019. And then it was like the next thing we knew, the world started shutting down in early 2020. And so to be back in that exact same space, in community again with the New Jewish Theater audience, and it's really moving. I think there's a real beauty to it, and it's been really special to be back together as a team in that same space for the first time, since we did the last one right before COVID. And so for me, it's really this idea of gratitude, and getting to live and be that gratitude by way of doing the show has just been, even though it's been one night, it's just been really special to be back.
I can't imagine what all actors feel just being able to perform again, like you're saying,
in front of a live audience again.
Yeah. The thrill of that. Mm-hmm. And describe for people who may not have been to the Wool Studio Theater, what is that like? How intimate is it? Like, they may know about the Rep, they may know about Opera Theater St. Louis, they may know about COCA. What's that theater like? How close in proximity are they? They may know about other kind of theater venues, like down in Grandel Square area.
Yeah, it's a great space. It's really neat. It's kind of a flexible space, like a black box theater, and so it's much more intimate and smaller. But it's cool because if you go to see 2 different shows in a season at New Jewish Theater, the stage could be set up entirely different in the space, as well as the seating. So it's super flexible in that it can change kind of from one wall to the other, or you can go from having more of like a audience on maybe 2 of the 4 walls. For this one, we have what we call like a thrust stage, so the audience is on 3 of the walls, and there are about maybe 3 or 4 rows of audience on each wall. And then the rest of it is the playing space in a way where I'll kind of be. But it's neat, it's intimate, and it's lovely for a piece like this where you're telling a story as a community and in community. And I think that works really, really well for this. But it's lovely. It's a cozy space. It's one of my favorite spaces to work in St. Louis, and it's very different than these kind of big stages that a lot of folks are used to. So definitely come check it out. I highly recommend it. Even if you don't come see every brilliant thing, I recommend you checking out the Wool Studio Theater at some point.
And I want to ask you, describe what you do at COCA-Biz. I know you're the director there. What exactly does that entail, and what happens there, so people can put that on their calendar also?
Sure. Yeah. So I work with like arts integration, arts learning as an educator, and so what we do is we take kind of what COCA is best at. It's arts teaching, and we take that and those great teachers into workplaces and lead professional development trainings on things like public speaking. We teach how to be a better storyteller. We teach design thinking. We teach all sorts of things. We do a lot of workshops in kind of the diversity, equity, and inclusion space. And so all of it is based on the arts, and it's super different and fun and experiential than like a typical kind of PowerPoint, professional development training. And so that's super fun. And one of the designers actually on Every Brilliant Thing, Beth Moynihan, who did our scenery and our lighting design, she is a teaching artist for COCA-Biz as well. So she teaches some design and design thinking courses for COCA.
Now, I know, there are classes like that in high school and in some middle schools. I know the universities have theater classes. My question goes to something that you just said about what you do at COCA-Biz, and it relates to what you're performing in Every Brilliant Thing, is the ability to, public speaking. And it leads me to thinking about like speech and debate and those kinds of things. It seems that those were, I want to say back in the day, many years
Mhm.
ago, speech and debate teams were very popular,
Right.
and now they've kind of gone by the wayside. But it allows individuals the opportunity to really learn two sides of an issue and express that. Do you have anything like that you do at CocoBiz?
Yeah, we definitely have a series of workshops around the idea of how do I tell a story? How do I tell a story with impact? How do I listen? We have a few different workshops that teach those types of things, and then we have one really about how do I think about my audience when I'm telling a story and connect my body and kind of my presence to my voice, my message, and be able to convey what I want in a very kind of convincing and commanding way. But at the same time, we do have ones, which are about like the power of listening and being able to actually hear what someone is saying, and understand it and take it in and be able to respond to it. And so I think you make a great point, where with technology, it might be the culprit of it, but it seems like we've turned to this space where it's like everyone just is in social media, kind of in the cloud, writing what they want and not really listening or responding. It's really just writing, and talking. And I think, how do we, find that type of conversation again? And so, to your point, these pieces that we had in school that no longer are here, I think we're doing ourselves a disservice, as a community. We need to have conversation. We need to be able to listen to one another. And so I think the arts provide a way into that. And I think it's great that even workplaces now are noticing that as well and trying to allow their teams to have that type of learning experience.
This is Arnold Stricker with Mark Langston of St. Louis in Tune. We're talking with Will Bonfiglio. He is the actor in Every Brilliant Thing, which is being performed currently through April 2nd at the Wool Studio Theater. That's 2 Millstone Campus Drive. And tickets are available at 314-442-3283. Will, one last question here. Do you have a favorite line or a portion of the play that kind of sticks in your mind? Sometimes you read a poem or you read a book, and there's something that just jumps out at you, and you memorize that, and it becomes this, I don't want to say a mantra for you, but it's something that you can identify with personally. Is there something like that in this particular play?
There are a ton of good parts. It's hard to pick one, and there are a ton of really brilliant things in the list that we talk about throughout it. But I think one of my favorites is probably, it's number 1092, which is conversation. And I think, it just feels like the perfect bow after what we just talked about and being able to be here with you this morning. But I think, being able to be in a space and have conversation and share it again in community after these years of a really, really trying time, that I think led to a lot, of depression and these issues that the show is about. But I think it's so important to be together and being able to share in that again and the joyous moments. But it's really fun. Everyone has a different favorite thing, I think, by the end of the show.
And everybody should go check this out. It's at the Wool Studio Theater, again, 2 Millstone Campus Drive, all the way through April 2nd. Individual tickets can be purchased at 314-442-3283 or go online at newjewishtheater.org, newjewishtheater.org. Will Bonfiglio, thank you for coming on St. Louis in Tune. We greatly appreciate your time this morning, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Take care.
You too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. Very nice. I should have asked him, does he have to do any kind of costume changes?
Oh, yeah. I didn't think
Being an
about
old
that.
guy.
Yeah.
I know.
I didn't think
Or
about that.
set changes. Who does that? Does he do that too?
He might. I love the idea
I know.
of this interaction and kind of improvisation with the audience.
I love it. So you get a card and you've got to do whatever that's your part.
Because maybe this is some individuals, they're like, I've been waiting for this moment all my life. I can be on the stage, although I have to sit in my seat or
Right,
something like
right.
that. Maybe they do get on stage. I
know.
really don't know
That's
that.
kind of fun.
I'm reading here from some information that I have that they play real characters, including a veterinarian,
Oh.
a school counselor, and even a love interest.
Ooh.
So
There's a twist there.
So the audience members do or bring or happen to have in their pocket is also based. That's what the improvisation is based
Oh,
on.
no.
So
Okay.
you got to watch what you bring to the
Who
play.
knows? Right. Who knows what you've got in your pocket right now? I don't know. We ought to ask that sometime to our guests. What's in your pocket
What's in your pocket, Mark?
I have a pocket knife. Wait, I'll tell you. I have some business cards.
It's like, what's in your wallet?
I know. I have some of my medicine. I don't have much medicine. I have my pocket knife, and then I have my hook.
Okay.
I've got a little hook. Depending on where I go, it's one of those hooks you can instead
Open
of
a door.
instead of grabbing the door, if I go in
mhm.
a bathroom or some public bathroom, I'll
Mhm.
use that hook to.
Right.
I know I don't want to get into that, but but I got my hook.
No, I get you. I
I
get
always
you.
have my hook. I lost my first hook. This is my second hook.
Okay.
I'm on my second hook.
Do the kids call you Captain Hook?
Oh yeah, and a couple other things they call me too.
You know, I've just got keys.
Do you only have keys?
I
You
have,
travel light?
I have keys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You travel
Keys
light.
in my wallet.
Yeah. I have to say, I never carried a pocket knife ever for a long, long time. Even being in scouts for years. And my brother gave me a pocket knife one year and it's just a simple pocket knife, gave me one, and I use the thing all the time. And now I got to have a pocket knife, and I got to remember to take it out when I go traveling,
Right.
because it's just not going to go over well at the
At TSA.
Right.
Well, it reminds me that I'm reaching down, I'm feeling in my pocket, and I do have my box cutter with me because
Ooh.
there's
That's a little.
yeah, there's some
I would let you
boxes
to play with that.
I need to take out and put in the recycling, and it's easier than
Oh,
just
yeah.
trying to kick them or
Yeah.
whip them. It's
Okay.
easier to do that, and
Right.
I forgot to take it out of.
It's
my pocket.
crazy to have a cutting something that cuts things. How much you use
Right.
it for?
Oh yeah,
I always think about, wow. I mean,
lots of things.
yeah, all the time. I just had no clue. For years I never had a pocket knife. That's for older.
Okay, now what's in your socks?
Hangnails.
The visualization.
I
of it.
know, and they're green. No, I'm kidding. They're really long.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
When we come back, we're not going to go to break yet, but when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about this play in the serious manner of which it was.
Mhm.
When you talk about depression and suicide, and I want to mention some things that if people have that issue going on or
Oh, yeah.
a relative, there are some resources, and I want to mention some of those resources.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, I want to mention a word of the day.
Oh, is this a new feature?
Yes, it is, and I forgot to do it on the show that we recorded yesterday. But,
Right.
This is a new feature, folks, of the show.
I think we've done it a couple of times.
Yeah,
but
and I need to kind of get in the habit of doing it. Maybe
yeah.
put it on the front end of or
it
something.
takes a while,
Yeah, it
and then
does.
once in a while,
Get in
yeah,
the rotation.
yeah, once you get the hang of it there.
But Gala Nipper.
Wait a minute.
Gala Nipper.
Hold on right there.
Okay.
Say it again slowly.
Gala Nipper.
Gala Nipper. And
Okay,
you
but
want to
it's-
spell it?
I will spell it because
Okay.
it's not pronounced like it's spelled.
Okay.
It's GALLINIPPER.
Gala Nipper.
I would think it would be pronounced Gala Nipper,
Yeah.
but it's Gala Nipper. Gala Nipper.
Okay.
And it's could be various insects that sting or bite, especially like a large mosquito.
Is that where the nipper comes in?
I guess so.
Okay. Just asking.
I didn't take Latin
I'm asking for a
in
friend.
school, so
I didn't want to take it.
No, I didn't either. So Gala Nipper, folks. That's like, wow, that's a big Gala Nipper there. And people will look at you. It's a large insect that bites or stings. That's
Like a
what
big
people say.
mosquito.
Yeah,
And we're getting into the Gala Nipper season.
we are. And they love me. They love my
I
blood.
need to write this down.
I'm wondering why there hasn't been a sports team called the so-and-so
Gala
Mosquitoes.
Oh, or the Gala Nippers.
Yeah, the Gala Nippers. That would be
I
a
like
great
the
one.
Gala Nippers. Personally, I like the Gala Nippers.
Yeah.
I hope I remember. I should write down the Gala Nippers.
Yeah, that's a really good word.
I
We
that
can
word.
increase people's vocabulary.
I like
here.
that word. Yeah, impress your friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You don't be a Gala Nipper to me.
right.
Don't be some large blood-sucking, stinging, large mosquito insect to me.
And folks, people evaluate you the moment you open your mouth.
That's right.
As soon as you start spewing, if you said, "Oh, that's a Gala Nipper over there," they're going to go, "Holy, this guy is
I
educated."
need to get my thesaurus out.
Who is this guy?
I need to-
Gala Nipper.
Wow, we need
I know.
we need the dictionary around this guy.
There you know it. Well, that's verbose. It's very prolix.
All right, we're We're going to take a break right now.
Gala Nipper. I like
Yeah,
Gala
we'll come
Nipper.
back
Gala
for our
Nipper's
next
a
Gala
fun-
Nipper
Okay.
segment.
All right.
So you're listening to St. Louis in Tune with Arnold Stricker and Mark Langston on the U.S. Radio Network.
Thanks for listening to St. Louis in Tune. On each and every show, we strive to bring you informative, useful, and reflective stories and interviews about current and historic issues and events that involve people, places, and things. Hey, we cover a wide range of content in the arts, crime, education, employment, faith, finance, food, health, history, housing, and humor, justice, and sports, and that's just to name a few. While St. Louis in Tune originates from the Gateway City and covers local topics, we connect to what is going on nationally as well. If you missed any of our previously aired programs of St. Louis in Tune, simply visit stlintune.com. That's stlintune.com. There you'll find every show from our first to our most current. Use the search engine and look for a show that might interest you. And if you have an area that you'd like us to examine deeper, let us know. Just drop us a line at stlintune@gmail.com. That's stlintune@gmail.com. St. Louis in Tune, heard Monday through Friday on the usradionetwork.com and many great stations around the U.S. and, of course, right here in St. Louis. Our website again is stlintune.com. stlintune.com.
This is Arnold Stricker of St. Louis in Tune on behalf of the Dred Scott Heritage Foundation. In 1857, the Dred Scott decision was a major legal event and catalyst that contributed to the Civil War. The decision declared that Dred Scott could not be free because he was not a citizen. The 14th Amendment, also called the Dred Scott Amendment, granted citizenship to all born or naturalized here in our country and was intended to overturn the U.S. Supreme Court decision on July 9, 1868. The Dred Scott Heritage Foundation is requesting a commemorative stamp to be issued from the U.S. Postal Service to recognize and remember the heritage of this amendment by issuing a stamp with the likeness of the man Dred Scott. But we need your support and the support of thousands of people who would like to see this happen. To achieve this goal, we ask you to download, sign, and share the one-page petition with others. To find the petition, please go to dredscottlives.org and click on the Dred Scott Petition Drive on the right side of the page. On behalf of the Dred Scott Heritage Foundation, this has been Arnold Stricker of St. Louis in Tune.
All right. Arnold's dancing now. Break dancing.
Welcome back to St. Louis in Tune. This is Arnold Stricker with the Gala Nipper himself, Mark Langston. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, we just learned a new word.
Gala Nipper.
Gala Nipper. Could be a variety of insects that sting or bite, but like a large mosquito.
Mm-hmm. Honey, go slap that. Go kill that
I
Gala
wonder if
Nipper.
like a bumblebee or
Yeah.
a wasp
Oh, I guess that could be a Gala
would
Nipper.
qualify for that.
A
All right.
Gala Nipper, yeah.
Right.
Heck yeah. Oh my goodness. I never thought, yeah.
Wasps.
See, immediately I think of mosquitoes
Yeah.
and how much I hate them.
Oh, I hate them too.
I always try to figure out what good is a mosquito.
I know some birds eat them.
That's probably the only good that comes out of a mosquito.
Right.
Honestly, is that it can feed the birds that eat them.
Yeah.
That's it. And I understand, what are the purple Marvins? They love them.
Mm.
They say put a purple Marvin house up, one of those condos that the
Yeah.
purple Martins have, and attract purple Martins. If they'll come and stay there, they'll stay there forever. They're
Right.
But they love mosquitoes. They eat mosquitoes like crazy.
And those are the ones where the houses are really high.
Yeah, and it's like 2 stories,
Yeah,
and there's if you get purple Martins and a lot of people don't, but if you do, they're going to eat all the mosquitoes.
I have better luck when I get my blood drawn than when a mosquito gets me.
Oh my!
It's like even on a semi bad stick.
And I always worry about their little mosquito noses where they poke things? Where was
Yeah.
that nose before it stuck in you?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Or when you swat one and then there's blood all over.
Oh, where'd that come from? Whose
Yeah.
blood is that?
Yeah,
Is that rat's blood down the street?
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if that's
You
a
were on
person.
that mouse out there. Weren't
Yeah.
you?
Oh my gosh.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Stop. This is so bad. Let me see.
So every brilliant thing, we just got done talking to Will Bonfiglio. He is the actor in that particular performance that's going to be playing right now, actually, at the Wolf Studio Theater at 2 Millstone Campus Drive. For tickets, 314-442-3283 or newjewishtheater.org. And that particular play has it's about one man dealing with his mother's depression and ultimate suicide. And then what happens when, as an adult, he has to come face to face with his own depression. And I wanted to mention, folks, that
It's very sad.
there's a crisis line out there that people can call. Maybe if you are experiencing some depression and have some suicidal thoughts, you can call this number
Arnold,
because it is very, very helpful. It's 988.
Mhm.
988. It's the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. And here's some interesting stats from that, Mark. I found this.
Can I just interject real quick?
Yeah.
If it's so hard, I think people that are thinking of suicide, I don't know if they're going to pick up the phone and call.
Right.
But if you know someone that you think is,
Yes.
help them call.
Yes.
Call yourself. Maybe they can give you some advice on how to help that person.
Yes.
So don't rely on the person
That person. Right.
yeah, that's thinking about suicide. Take a little, help someone else
Right.
that you think might be slipping into that.
And it's recognizing signs.
Yeah.
And we see and hear a lot of suicides today. Some of that is from drug overdoses,
Mhm.
non-intentional, based upon,
Right.
whatever they're taking. But some of the stats I saw from the 988 Lifeline, and again, it's 988. It's like 911, but it's 988.
Mhm.
Just in January of this year, there were 450,000 calls and contacts. And calls to veterans and vets out there, who are struggling with this, 66,000. That is just unbelievable. And when you go down to, how fast they were answered and the average contact time for calls was 13 minutes. For just a chat was 23 minutes. For a text was 48 minutes. The average of all those 21 minutes.
Wow.
So you can see that this is just not some lightweight kind of, we're going to do this because it's the thing to do. No, this is an important hotline. It's sponsored by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. It's SAMHSA.gov, SAMHSA.gov, or you can do the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. We've done a show on suicide. Matter of fact, our guest had suicidal tendencies, and it's important to recognize some signs. Wanted to put that out there, make that announcement for that. They have a lot of resources out there, but reach out to people. There's a lot of good assistance out there. If you see a family member or you see a friend struggling and maybe has these tendencies, and coming out of COVID, I tell you what,
Oh yeah.
the whole thing with social media and teenagers. Social media just needs to, now this is Arnold Stricker speaking, okay?
Right.
Just needs to go away.
Oh yeah.
It just needs to go away. And parents, if you're not in tune, no pun intended here, that this is St. Louis in tune. If you're not in tune with what your child has in their hand, on their phone, in their bedroom, on their computer, you need to find out.
Right.
You need to find out what apps they're using. You need to find out what websites they're using. And it's not prying into their business. It's you protecting them from other predators and from other kids who will become bullies and harass them. And it's just degrading to self-esteem and self-worth. And ultimately, we see a lot of teen suicides. Matter of fact, there was an article and I'll mention this. I thought it was very interesting. And some people, it's like, what do you read? You know, or what news do you listen to? Do you listen to CNN? Do you listen to Fox News? Do you listen to MSNBC? Do you listen to this? Do you listen to that? It's like, you know, I like to listen to both sides,
Right.
but I like to listen down the middle. Okay,
Right.
so here's the thing. If I'm down the middle, somebody on the far left thinks I'm conservative.
Right. Correct.
Okay. If I'm listening down the middle, somebody on the far right thinks I'm liberal or progressive.
Correct.
Okay.
It's
So
sad.
I'm going to give this to you,
It's not.
and I will tell you where it's from. It's from a group. It's from the editor is from a woman who used to work for the New York Times. Okay. And everybody can think whatever they want about the New York Times. Okay. That's however you want to think. All right.
Okay.
But the article, I'm looking it up right now, folks. Just be patient with me. Here it is. It's from the Free Press. The Free Press is kind of trying to be both sides. Okay, we'll read both sides. We'll talk about both of the, and I like that.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
having a discussion. That's kind of like
Yeah.
the debate thing.
Mhm.
I'll find out about the good things about it. I'll find out about the bads, and then I'll have to be able to present whatever's given to me.
Right.
Which makes, I think, you a more well-rounded person.
Oh yeah, more informed.
So this particular article is entitled "Why the Mental Health of Liberal Girls Sank First and Fastest."
Ooh.
We are a decade into the largest epidemic of adolescent mental illness ever recorded. It's time we started treating social media like automobiles and firearms. Unless you live in the state of Missouri. Then you can be a 2-year-old and carry around an AK-47.
I know. Let's not go there yet. Let's do a show on that though.
But this particular person, it's a very long article, very well researched, has graphs about where kids are with how things are impacting them and their, I don't want to say their political positions and things like that, but what things they believe in, what they listen to, and then how that impacts them personally.
Right.
And that's done through social media. And very, very interesting. So parents, find out about what your kids are listening to, what they're reading, what apps they have on their phone. Do they need a phone?
Right.
Okay. It's like, my gosh, some parents are like, well, I need to get in touch with my kid whenever I need to do that. Well, why are you calling them during school? Because they're in school.
Right.
Don't you think they should be learning at that time rather than you interrupting everybody else's learning so that you can ask them some, my words, dumb question?
And let them be on their own a little bit. Find their way. And if you're going to talk about this with your child, I would say, don't come in like
guns ablazing.
Yeah. What's on your phone?
Yeah. Give me your phone.
Yeah. Let me see what you're doing. What are you No. To engage them, talk to them.
Right.
Listen. Oh my goodness. Listen. Because I think somewhere along the line, things will surface and you'll go, oh, maybe that's something I should ask a little more about. Maybe I should dig over here a little bit.
And Mark,
you got to talk to your kids.
That's exactly right. It's kind of like going into a room and everybody's got their head down, this device in front of them.
Stand it.
And it's like nobody talks to anybody. But here's a point that I want to make, and for you parents out there, because some of you parents, and I say this in a kind way, some of you parents are as guilty, if not more guilty, than your children. You are teaching your children how society should not act. Because when you read some of these like community forums on Facebook, or you read some of these on Nextdoor or all of these social media platforms, the adults act in a heinous and egregious manner.
Right.
And maybe you need to check the definition of some of those words that I just mentioned. And it's not a large mosquito that will sting you.
It's not a
Okay. So
gallon-nipper.
Yeah, not a gallon nipper.
All right.
So it's kids learn things and they're watching their parents engage in these kinds of behaviors or say these kinds of things.
They think it's okay.
And they think it's okay.
Yeah. Like that's how it should be.
So when it happens to them, the children, who are they going to go to? But the parent goes say, well, you just text them right back and tell them blah, 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 blah. No, that's why we have communities that are at odds with each other. That's why we have groups of people that are at odds with each other. That's why we have political affiliations that are at odds with each other. That's why we can't get anything done in our government. One of the reasons.
Yeah.
Personal opinion.
Well taken, though. It's well taken. We were at dinner the other night, and I looked over at a table. I don't know why I remember this. Everyone at the table, they were all young too, had their phones up, and they're looking at their phones. And then the people, I'm not going to say, but they're driving with the phone right up while they're driving. It's up.
I hate that.
It's right up to where they can see out the window and look at the phone at the same time.
Right.
Can't do it. I
No.
don't do it.
No.
I tell my kids don't do it.
No.
We eat at dinner, and it's like, come on, get off the phone. They don't get on the phone though.
Yeah. You keep it in your pocket.
My boys are good about it. Thank goodness. Knock on wood.
I think people are looking for affirmation
Mhm.
of maybe something that they've posted or a
Right.
photograph or seeing if somebody's dissing them or
Yeah.
just,
You know-
information overload. What do you do with it?
Yeah, people want to be recognized. That's human nature. We all want to be recognized. It's just the way we are. I'm sorry, our buildup. And I think like you say, it's an affirmation. It's like
Mhm.
I sent something out. I want to know if I'm being recognized or not. How many likes did I get?
Yeah. Parents, you want to recognize your kids? Tell them you love them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Put your arm around them. They might bristle.
They,
Might
do.
go, why'd you say that?
I get that all the time.
Because are you
I know.
demonstrating that or are you just saying that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And kids, the
Yeah.
older kids get, the more that they could say, I love you too.
Yeah.
You know?
It takes them a while. They got to go through a little stage there.
Right.
Then they come around.
Yeah, they have to be at least in their 30s. So
They
so
go,
the
"Oh,
executive
wait."
function has kicked in,
All that stuff is connected up in the head. And
That's right.
Look
That's
forward.
exactly right.
uh
I wanted to mention something with baseball season coming up.
oh. Crack of the bat. Here we go.
I thought this was very interesting because I've been seeing some things where some of the batters and pitchers are kind of a little upset with managing this clock now.
Oh yeah.
The batter now has only so many seconds to get ready. The pitcher has so many seconds to get ready. I was watching something where the umpire was not behind the plate. He was getting some
Balls
from the ball boy,
Uh-huh.
and the batter was kind of being polite, waiting,
Uh-huh.
and then stepped in the box, and the umpire went, "Oh, that's it." And it's like, and that batter was like,
What?
"Dude, what's wrong with
You
you?" I
weren't
was just,
there.
So, and I remember when I was a kid growing up, ball games were like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Especially when Bob Gibson was pitching.
Oh my.
He didn't mess around.
No.
He got
He
the ball
didn't.
back. He looked at McCarver and he pitched the ball.
Wow. That's true.
That was it.
That's right.
And if you weren't ready, you might get hit in the head.
That's right. That's right.
So in none of this,
Or a
I've
strike.
got to adjust my
I
gloves
know.
50 times,
Oh.
flip my bat, knock cleats, draw something in the dirt, look at everybody and, spruce myself up, give myself a little puffy. So I want to read something to you.
A little puffy. Okay.
This is by a man named Roger, I think it's Engel.
Uh-huh.
All right. He says, the American obsession with sports is not a new phenomena, of course, except in its current dimensions. It's excessiveness.
Mm.
What is new and what must at times unsettle even the most devout and unselective fan is a curious sense of loss. In the midst of all these successive spectacles and instant replays and endless reportings and recapitulations, we seem to have forgotten what we came for. More and more, each sport resembles all sports. The flavor, the special joys of place and season, the unique displays of courage and strength and style that once isolated each game and fixed it in our affections have disappeared somewhere in the noise and crush. Of all sports, none has been so buffeted about this unselective proliferation, so maligned by contemporary cant, or so indifferently defended as baseball. Yet the game somehow remains the same, unadulterated and comparable only with itself. Baseball has one saving grace that distinguishes itself for me at any rate from every other sport because of its pace, and thus the perfectly observed balance, both physical and psychological, between opposing forces. Its clean lines can be restored in retrospect. Now, he goes on, this is maybe a little dated, and I'm going to go right to the end of this article.
Okay.
Because I remember, sitting again like 3 hours and 15 minutes. What are you guys doing down there?
Right.
And I know media has a play in this too. Like
Sure.
over broadcasting these games, all of our people have to have, Bally Sports, which is now, declared bankruptcy, which the Cardinals bought into,
Yeah.
and now everybody can't watch baseball.
Right.
It's it's all about the money. So
Right.
here's the last
Follow the
paragraph. The last dimension is time. Within the ballpark, time moves differently, marked by no clock except the events of the game. Well, now it's marked by a clock.
Right.
This is the unique, unchangeable feature of baseball and perhaps explains why this sport, for all the enormous changes it has undergone in the past decade or two, remains somehow rustic, unviolent, and introspective. Baseball's time is seamless and invisible, a bubble within. Players move at exactly the same pace and rhythms as their predecessors. He says this is the way the game was played in our youth and our father's youth, and it's changed.
Right.
The game has changed.
Right.
And, it's like going to the DH.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have an opinion on that one way or the other, but I thought National League, when the National League had pitchers
Right.
bat,
Uh-huh.
you had to be a much better manager
Right.
than an American League.
Right.
Now, it extends the career of some individuals.
Right.
Gee, I'm 55 years old. I can still slug some home runs. I can be a DH somewhere.
Right. Right.
And then you see all the pitchers. And I think maybe, Mark, that
Yeah.
with expansion
Mm-hmm.
came this less than average performance.
Right.
Because when you had a few teams, man, you had to be good or you weren't there.
Right.
And the pitchers who pitched and everything, they were on top of things. And you had to be on top of the game. And the game was enjoyable. And when we played
Mhm.
the game, we didn't, I didn't, knock my cleats, or we didn't have gloves back
Right.
then. You endured the smack on your hands, and, you'd go chase the ball over the fence because it was the only ball that you had.
Right.
So stuff like that. So when we get into now, we have to have clocks to make sure the game speeds up, or things like that, or the guy's going to take the long, slow walk from the bullpen to get in because it's all about him. Or these
Right.
guys are such head cases, these relief pitchers. That's what I call them. And maybe
Yeah.
they're not, but it's
Yeah.
like, just get in there and if you got 100-mile-an-hour fastball, throw it.
Yeah. Throw it right down the
if
middle.
that's your deal, just throw it.
Right.
If
Oh,
you
yeah.
got a curveball, throw it.
Oh yeah.
So,
That's how you do it.
yeah.
I understand, I guess, a little bit why they're trying to speed the game up, maybe. But 30 seconds, isn't it like 30 seconds for a pitch? I think it is. It's like maybe a little more time than that. Like if you got to do this, and there has to be a compromise, I'd make it at least like a minute. If you want to speed up the game, I don't know. I'm kind of, I like the way it has been. I'm not a big guy on changing stuff. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't know.
No, I agree with that.
There is no time. It is good to go to a baseball game, forget about everything. It's a whole different time, like you say. It's if you got to put these restrictions on them, why do they have to be so short? I mean, heck, I'm thinking to myself, if I was a pitcher, 30 seconds, come on,
Well,
that's a lot. I mean, that's quick.
yeah.
That's like,
Then you get into the umpire thing where,
Yeah.
the umpires, they some of them have some huge egos and they don't even know where the strike zone is.
right,
And it's like, I didn't pay all this money to come watch you throw somebody out of the game.
right,
I came here to watch them play baseball and you call a game.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not about you. I didn't pay my money for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to see my
It drives me nuts.
heroes play the game.
All right. So I'm going to go quickly into some,
Uh-oh.
a funny thing here.
No.
And then I think we're going to call it a show, Mark.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, but we do have something more, right? Okay.
Yeah.
You got something funny?
I have something funny. This is from when Prime Minister Mori was Prime Minister in Japan.
Okay.
A few days ago, Prime Minister Mori was given some basic English. I think it's Mori, he was Japan.
Mhm.
Basic English conversation training before he visits Washington and meets President Obama. The instructor told Mori, Prime Minister, when you shake the hand of President Obama, say, how are you? Then Mr. Obama should say, I am fine. And you? Now you should say, me too. Afterwards, we translators will do the work. It looks quite simple, but the truth is this. When Mori met Obama, he mistakenly said, who are you? Instead of how are you? Mr. Obama was a bit shocked, but still managed to react with humor. Well, I'm Michelle's husband. Then Maury replied, me too. And there was a long silence in the meeting room.
Now you're talking. Oh, I love it. That's funny. That's good. That's Michelle laughing. That's pretty good.
That's the pistachio gallery.
That's a good one. Right.
All right.
Okay.
I thought
That's good. No, I think that's great. Who knew?
Language.
Oh yeah.
It's like translating something, and why did you put that on your head?
I know.
I don't know. I translated it wrong, I guess.
Yeah, you probably did. Okay.
Well, that's all for this hour. Thanks for listening, folks. Don't forget, when the Martians invade, there's only one race, the human race, and every one of us have different characteristics and is uniquely valuable. St. Louis in Tune is a production of Motif Media Group and the U.S. Radio Network. For St. Louis in Tune co-host Mark Langston, I'm Arnold Stricker. Remember to walk worthy and let your light shine.